Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak reference 15400 ST, so the 15400 ST, the 41mm stainless steel automatic Royal Oak with galvanized blue tapisserie dial. You can see and you can purchase this rare variant of the 15400 on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 15400 ST. Now, if you're not going to own the Jumbo, the 15202, this is the one to own. This is the galvanized blue dial that has both a high rejection rate when the dials are being manufactured, and post-production tends to be reserved for the most elite and scarce of Audemars Piguet authorized dealers, as well as factory boutiques themselves. A gorgeous combination of steel, the original, and some would say only appropriate metal for a Royal Oak. The watch maintains all of the style and systems integration of bezel, case, lug, and bracelet, as originally envisioned by Gerald Genta in 1972. Now, in 2012, the 41mm 15400 came out, and it is a big watch. It wears far larger than its 9:3 measurement of 41mm, not counting the crown. Although it's slim, and make no mistake, it is slim at 9.8mm thick with a generously sloped bezel, you'll have no trouble wearing it underneath the cuff. But keep in mind that compared to the 39 and the 37 that came before it, this watch almost feels like a junior offshore more than a larger Royal Oak. So keep in mind that if you like the fit of the 42mm offshore, you're going to like this. If you've never wore a Royal Oak 41, you're going to want to pay close attention to what I say about the dimensions of the watch on the wrist, because I feel it wears more like a 42 or a 43. Lug to lug, it's a big watch. 51.6 is the lug-to-lug dimension. If you're going to put it on some sort of strap, and Audemars Piguet offers excellent options, it's going to be just over 51.6. But if you count these intermediate plots, these two intermediate links that join the lugs to the bracelet, then you have a rigid outcropping that cannot be pulled straight down relative to the case. So the effective width of the watch, as tight as it can go across the wrist, is going to be a burly 54.3mm, and that is substantial. Now, the watch does feel very solid, and I also say that because of the flat and regular case back form, it does not create any pressure points or hot spots, so it sits comfortably. Just be advised, I would say the lower limit for wearing this watch with comfort and security, at least on the bracelet, is probably between 14.5 and 15 centimeters wrist circumference. But let's talk about what you get, because what you get is very substantial. The bracelet is burlier, heavier, and more massive in its construction than the Jumbo 15202, so it's more solid, but it has the same level of finish. As you can see, the handsome finish of the case continues seamlessly into the bevel of the links themselves. You can see that polished bevel running from the hairline profile on the flank of the case, flaring at the lugs, and then melding seamlessly with the arc of the beveled links. You'll also note the tops all satin finished, but when I bend them, you can see to advantage that they're actually polished components on the interior, as the ends of each intermediate plot link are polished to insert a jewelry-like gleam between the links. Handsomely made, you can see that the channels are massive on the top to create a depth effect and a texture to break up the massive metal, and then on the underside you can see just how robustly vented and aerated the wrist will be. There are many channels showing daylight, allowing heat, moisture, grit to escape the wrist. You'll also note that when I push it out so you can see to advantage the gaps between the links on the underside, this is what allows the bracelet to avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. That profiling prevents the bracelet from grabbing a piece of your arm. All of the sizing is done with screws. All removable links are removed with screws. That's how AP does it. Patek should take note. The Nautilus pins and sleeves system is nowhere to be seen here. The actual clasp is fairly massive, although compact. The pieces themselves are machined from the solid, and again, massive is the term that comes to mind. They feel over-engineered for this application, but they inspire confidence. The clasp is nicely curved to trace the underside of the wrist. There's a handsome finish in here, a combination of blasted and satin finish, twin trigger release so it cannot accidentally pop open. You do need to remember that it's a sequential clasp though, so don't accidentally close the underside on top of the AP logo. It's always the non-logo side and then the logo side in that order. Moving back to the case, you can see the same level of metal finish that I highlighted on the bracelet is evident throughout the case. You'll see a hairline expression of the bezel gasket as per Genta's original, but it's an accent. It's not a primary structural feature as on an offshore. The flanks are beautifully executed such that you can see that the character line that starts on the bezel continues seamlessly aligned through the case into the case back. That kind of design continuity and design in 3 dimensions really gives character to the watch and helps to define what a Royal Oak is. All of the finish is executed by hand, so if you see a hairline bevel that shrinks, ebbs and flows, that was done by hand. If you see the polished and rounded flanks to the octagonal Royal Navy porthole inspired bezel, well, that polish and that rounded profile, as with the satin flats of the top, all executed by hand. It takes hours to execute the finish of the case and bracelet of a Royal Oak, and I don't mean 2 or 3 either. Now you'll note the white gold hexagonal polished bezel bolts recessed inside the bezel to create a depth effect and a change of plane. They are white gold and they are polished for a contrast to the satin steel of the bezel top. I'm getting a little bit out of focus here, so let me get everything back on track and zoom in a bit so we can take advantage of the light of the light box and get the full advantage of that spectacular galvanized blue tapisserie dial. Now the dial features a number of elements that are distinctive and also beautiful. White gold faceted indices. There will be a loom shot at the end of the video so you can see how the watch is loomed. All of the faceted white gold indices are hand applied and diamond polished. They have luminova atop them. The minute and the hour hand of the dial also feature luminova, and likewise, along with the lancet counterweight seconds hand, are comprised of white gold. There is a black date disc with a white print on top for high contrast, and you can see the tapisserie pattern, which is cut on a vintage pantograph, is actually done at Audemars Piguet. Used to be done by Stern Frere, a company owned by Richemont. Today it's done in-house by Audemars Piguet, but the manufacturing method, the pantograph device, is exactly the same. And it creates a beautiful intermediate pattern. You can see the large hobnails. What you cannot see are the small textured ridges that run between and over the hobnails themselves. There's a second order detailing to this dial that you can only fully appreciate with a loop. Now, it does feature a screw down crown. It does have 50 meters water resistance, and because it has Audemars Piguet's manufacturer caliber 3120 automatic, you have hacking seconds, a feature not present on the 15202 Jumbo, and you have, let's first make sure we're through the date change before we attempt to. Yeah, there we go. That's why we always make sure. You also have the quick set function to rapidly cycle the date. Now, there's a screw down here. Again, screw down crown, distinct from what you'll find on the Jumbo, and the reason I mention it is because though both are rated to 50 meters water resistance, this alone is the watch that would be considered swimmable. This is a stiff and robust 50 versus what I would consider a soft 50 for the 15202. Now the movement is beautiful, 22 karat winding mass featuring the coats of arms of the Audemars and Piguet family. The company is still in the hands of the founding families and run by their representatives. You'll also note that the movement itself, which features 40 jewels and a 55 to 60 hour automatic winding power reserve, has a robust architecture about the balance. It is a free-sprung architecture with a Gyromax style balance and a full balance bridge for shock resistance. You'll also note all screw heads are black polished, and there's a beautiful linear Côte de Genève that runs parallel and perfectly aligned across the bridges from point to point. Also important, along with the hacking seconds and the quick set, the 55 to 60 hours of power reserve, the movement is not excessively thin, and thus it has a robustness to it that means it's used both in this application as well as the Royal Oak offshores. 40 jewels, fully adjusted, and beautifully cased. This is a compelling package. Audemars Piguet on the inside, Audemars Piguet on the outside, entirely handcrafted inside and out. If you were to buy just one Royal Oak that is not an offshore and is not the original Jumbo, a stainless steel 15400 with the blue galvanized dial would be the one. See it and decide for yourself on our website. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 15400 ST, the night shot. After nightfall, the watch still beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, but as you can see, the Lancet seconds hand alone among the 3 is not luminescent. However, this watch, in every sense of sports watch, is visible at night. Indices, hours, and minutes. See it in the light of day on our website.